What up, G-Life fam? It's your boy MC Shadow. Now, hitting Santa Barbara, Goleta, um, Isla Vista, and those areas. Now, it's gonna start getting a little bit complicated right here because, like, the neighborhoods in Santa Barbara is kind of like the Verdugo gangs. Like, it's separate gangs, but it falls under the same gang, like cliques, but they're not cliques because they're their own individual neighborhoods. It's going to be one of those things. So it's going to get a little bit complex. Um, but, and I think also in Goleta. But we'll get into it when we start the video. Now, starting off with.
Change my ways, pues that's something that I just won't do. Till death do us part, you'll catch me throwing in my hood. This life is full of drama, full of shit and never good. But we knew that coming in, so I got no excuse. La vida loca, this life's not made to be understood. Catch a rival slipping, homie, and he's getting hooked. But only if they active, homie, I go by the book. And remember, there's no such thing as a habit crook. They gang banging and retire on a day-to-day. But what a trip, homie, but that shit be looking strange. But that's it, never me, solid to my grave.
G-File.
Now, starting off right here with the biggest one, and, the most one that's been asked about right here because of Sad Boy Loco, the neighborhood where he's from. You have the East Side Santa Bruta neighborhood. Bruta being the term that they used to describe Santa Barbara. Now, Santa Barbara's split into two neighborhoods. You have the west side and the east side. The east side has its own separate sub cliques, but they're their own gangs. But they fall under the east side Santa Bruta umbrella, I guess you would say. You know what I mean? Now east side Bruta runs from what's east of the State Street, all the way to Alameda, to Padre, Sierra, to Anna, Anna Pomo Street, all the way to the beach. So that's their turf. So it's a pretty, chunk size of territory. As a matter of fact, state right there, the State Street. I mean, that's where it be cracking, homie. I mean, that's where you get caught slipping right there, homie. Like, she's gonna go rough. People think that these areas like Santa Barbara and everything like that ain't nothing be cracking over here. That is like whatever. These gangs are notorious, bro. They're ruthless. I mean, you come talking a good one over here. I mean, you ain't gonna leave alive, homie. Like, these neighborhoods made the news several times. They're well rooted, well established. They crazy as fuck, homie. Pretty much, you know what I mean. Now, the east side, Santa Bruta, um, is split up into what's the traviesos, the crazies, the familia, and the gangsters, but the gang. Like the traviesos will be ESTs, where you see Sad Boy that has it tattooed. You know, East Side, traviesos, obviously. That's why you see the R, the S, abbreviation term. Um, you see the crazies, right? ESK, Familia ESF, and ESGs for the gangster gang. You know what I mean? Like I said, they're the biggest ones. They're the ones that is the most talked about and giving law enforcement a hard time right here. You know what I mean? Like, this neighborhood should be cracking, homie. These guys are crazy, and it ain't no joke over here, homie. Like I said, you know, they're their own separate gangs, but they're like cliques because they all fall under the same umbrella, kind of like Verdugo does it, like Westside Verdugo, um, and a few other territories that do it as well. But yeah, that's what's up with the Eastside Bruta right there. Definitely putting it on the map and holding it down right there. And shout out to the homie Spanky from Bruta, Firme homie right there. Casper is another one. Shout out to all the homies from Eastside Bruta that be right there holding it down. Now here you have the West Side Bruta, Santa Bruta. Now on the west is you have which would be the west of State Street, um, the way to Bonet Park, to where the Guadalajara market's at. Um, that's where you'll find these neighborhoods. The territory of these neighborhoods. Kicking it and doing their thing. Now the west side, Santa Bruta, is split up into um, sub gangs too, sub cliques. But they fall under the same umbrella, exactly like the east side. And the east side and the west side definitely don't like each other. I mean, there's definitely heavy beef right there. Definitely bad blood between these two sides. That's why I mean that State Street right there be cracking, homie, because pretty much that's what divides these two neighborhoods. And man, like I said, man, there's just bad blood between them. Now the West Side is split up into what's known as the West Side Destroyers, Projects, Locotes, and Tiny Locos. So that will be like West Side, like TLS, or West Side D, WSD or WSDRS. Projects will be, VPR, Locotes, LKS, you know, and so forth. So that's what's known as, West Side Santa Bruta, you know what I mean? And like I said, homie, now, even though they're not as large, as the East Side, I mean, they're just as deadly, homie. I mean, it's another, side that's, well established, well talked about, you know what I mean? Like, well respected, heavily rooted. And these guys ain't no jokes, home, Like I said, they may not be as large as, their counterpart, but, like I said, homie, that don't mean nothing, dog. These guys definitely be holding their ground and be right there representing and putting their vital definitely on the map, especially, this is the neighborhood where Soldier Loke, um, from West Side Santa Bruta, this is where he's from. And check out his music, man. Homie gets down, you know what I mean? Honestly, I honestly think lyrically wise, he's above Sad Boy Loco, in my opinion. Um, but homie gets down. You guys should check out his music. And yeah, homie, you know these guys ain't no joke, homie. They definitely be right there representing, putting their barrio on the map. And man, homie, they be holding it down right there. Shout out to the homie Goofy and Grumpy from from Bruta right there, holding it down for the West Side. You feel me? Now here in Goleta, you have the Old Town Goleta Projects, the GP neighborhood, Goleta Projects, old school neighborhood, um, large too, large in numbers. You know what I mean? I mean they're not as large as like Santa Barbara's, but um, nonetheless, homie, they still a very large neighborhood. Old school, heavily rooted, definitely with the business, homie. The neighborhood that definitely be giving law enforcement a hard time over there. Now, Goleta, also like Santa Barbara, we're split into two different neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Where it's like you have the Goleta projects, which is in Goleta, and then you have like the Goleta Locotes, which is more in Isla Vista. That's where they're at. You know what I mean? Um, but they both established themselves as Goleta. Um, like I said, it starts getting complex and complicated. You know what I mean? But they definitely with the business, homie. These guys ain't no chumps, homie. The projects definitely be right there representing their neighborhood and definitely be holding it down right there. You know what I mean? The projects being the more older, larger of the two, um, and you definitely, homie. You hear about these guys, right there on Kellogg Street. That's their dojo, their home turf, their home base. You know what I mean? um, and they get it popping, homie, going at it with the surrounding, neighborhoods right there, and like kicking it off. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, a lot of those guys be getting, busted like in Santa Barbara, because how much they be going at it and shit like that, homie. Like shit be cracking. You know what I mean? Like these guys ain't no chumps either. Like they definitely be right there representing for their barrio and putting it on the map, homie. Like you hear about these guys, so and they right there having Goleta on lockdown, homie. That shit ain't no joke, dog. Now here you have a more smaller neighborhood. It's not as large. You don't really hear about it as much or see it up as much as the rest of the sets over here. But nonetheless, homie, like I said, numbers and size don't mean nothing. These guys definitely have their riders. It's a neighborhood that you do hear about them. You know what I mean? Like they do kick it off. You do hear some noise from these guys. Like these guys ain't no chumps. Like they're not a neighborhood where, you know, people think they could just come and just like walk all over them. You know what I mean? Like I said, they're smaller than the rest. You know what I mean? Because of the area. You know, it's complex. Because the Carpas neighborhood is right there in Car Car Carpeteria. The so it's a small like small town. You know what I mean? You can find the carpas right there in the dead end on Ninth Street. Uh, that's why you see a carpas Ninth Street dead end. You know what I mean? Is their where their hanging spot was. You know where they be holding it down and putting their barrio on the map. You know what I mean? And yeah, like I said, homie, they as a matter of fact, these guys also have a homie that raps. I haven't gotten the chance to check out his music, but you guys might want to go check that out. Might be some good shit right there. Like I said, Carpas may not be as large as the rest of the neighborhoods right here, but nonetheless, homie, they right there representing for their neighborhood and putting it on the map and holding it down.